Ang akong lang ikaistorya nga, lisod kaayo. Hapit mo mga matay. Niaman mi sa tin kay was out man among balay sa barangay 6. Dili mi gipapuyo sa Tin City.
Nung umalis kami doon sa bahay namin, hindi ko inisip na masisira yung kasi maraming dumaan na bagyo. Sabi ko, Lord, kalooban mo ito, alam kong iingatan mo kami. Walang nangyari sa aming pag-anak pero walang natira sa amin kundi ang damit na sa. Tapos nung kinamagahan, sinabi ng kapitbahay namin na wala na lahat, kahit isa walang natira.
Guiuan Habitat is supporting local governments in achieving sustainable development in the context of the post-Haiyan response. When you try to achieve sustainable development, there has to be a balance between 4 pillars. In the framework, we are focusing on social, economic, environment, infrastructure, all under and anchored with good governance. For social sustainability, it's not just a matter of looking at one facet. Social sustainability means looking at shelter, looking at health, looking at education. In the context of shelter, it's not just a matter as well of providing housing, but it's looking at it in a sustainable facet where access to basic services like water, utilities would be considered.
Even before Yolanda, we have already identified those communities as vulnerable. The land where they are occupying are not appropriate for residential structures.
And many of them were living in houses made of light materials and also below the poverty line, and therefore more vulnerable. Some of the problems that they have discovered post-Yolanda were actually existing issues that they already had, which were exposed and magnified by the super typhoon. Issues on design and construction, and even location. These were all brought up and triggered by the typhoon.
In shelter, that's where we're actually very challenged right now. We have around 1,200 families that has to be prioritized because they are actually living on the sea. We would like to relocate them to an area safer. The challenge there is that we will be uprooting them from the places where they do their living.
Sometimes people sacrifice the structure and the location of their house over livelihoods because they prefer getting money for food or food for the day.
Nagtitindahin isda.
Kasi yung lolo namin, yung ama namin, mangingisda na. Yung pangingisda, yun lang alam namin.
Dati, nandun pa kami sa barangay 6. Yung asawa ko nangingisda, ako nagtitinda ng isda sa palengke.
In the next pillar, which is economy and livelihoods, we are looking at income-generating activities for families, which is basically covered under the livelihood aspect. In the economy, we look at it in a more systematic fashion of how income and the economic system plays a role in promoting sustainable development.
In 3 years or 5 years, we have been talking about rehabilitating our livelihoods in fisheries and in agriculture, and perhaps diverting some of our economic activities to agriculture so that we cannot be dependent mostly on fisheries.
And part of it is also introducing non-climate sensitive livelihoods so that even if it's raining, they would have sources of income. Even if the climate changes, they would still be aware of many other activities that they could do to earn for the day.
Kung kuhan nga, tagana ko yung iba nga pagkabuhayan, pwede na.
So the sentiment of people being very open to movement is because they now know the dangers. Most of them accept the fact that they're living in a highly dangerous area. But again, it's not just about their housing. They need to live and earn an income so that they could access more services and provide food for their families. It's a matter of making sure that the infrastructure that links this works for them. So that's how critical the support infrastructure is. The third pillar is infrastructure. As they do their livelihoods, as they do, for instance, fishing activities or agriculture activities, they basically need a system or infrastructure system that basically covers public government infrastructure along with roads, market systems, etc. To make it sustainable, you have to have that support infrastructure that can make it work over the long term.
We actually do consultations with barangays.
Ang una, ang siring nila nga, ibalhin kami habang house.
It seems that they want the whole municipality transferred to their area where they will resettle.
Nag-ano kami nga, kung pwede, diri kami naruyag ito ng bang house. Kahit araw-araw yung pamasahe nila dito is 50 pesos pamasahe pa lang, wala pa yung baon. Pero dati doon, 20 pesos lang. Mahirap ang kalagayan namin dito sa tent. Kaya nung ibinigay ito, masaya kaming lahat. Kasi kahit gatuldok na pag-asa, meron na kami.
And you begin to look at solutions. It's not just isolated or are not standalone solutions, but a part of something bigger.
The fourth pillar, which is environment, is a bit of a tricky part when it comes to recovery and rehabilitation. But the goal of UN Habitat is to make sure that the environment or the natural environment remains to be sustainable to support all the recovery and rehabilitation that's going to happen. It's a matter now of designing and building with nature so that we could introduce sustainability in the facets of daily living. Without maintaining and protecting the environment, it would be detrimental to communities and to the future.
What UN Habitat does really is to look at local governments and communities as system. It's a system and it's a part of an even bigger system. And when you look at that, you begin to connect the dots.
It's not only about building a house and then forgetting about how their livelihoods could be protected as they move away from the shore because they now prefer to live in a safe area. You need to see it in a perspective that allows you to understand the interdependency of locations. Mapping is being done, support to local government units in producing right-scaled maps that basically speaks about hazards.
Mapping provides insights. Mapping is not just about the what and where, but the why and how behind the what and where. We are interested in building resilience by managing risk. The insight comes from the overlay of various layers, so to speak, in the map. For instance, layers of hazard, layers of exposure, layers of vulnerability, layers of adaptive capacity.
And that's why we're trying to link up with different agencies, government, non-government, private sector, most especially the communities that were affected, and to see what works for the entire municipality.
Of course, we need an institution to steer all this. That's why coordination with the local government is very critical.
First is we want to build trust, confidence in the government.
Leadership is a very important factor. The community will easily cooperate if they trust in their leader.
What we really want to do is to put the local government at the forefront and to make sure that they are in a way in control of the situation.
It was a participative way of doing the master plan. It's not just a one-man show, so that's what I like the UN Habitat being our partners because they believe the people in Guiuan can contribute.
We're here to make sure that it follows the certain principles of building back better and safer. And at the end of the day, we have to merge those principles with the desires of the community, with how they want their future to be.
I have very high hopes. I guess it's a dream actually that Guiuan will surpass the kind of Guiuan that we were before. Well, it's part of rebuilding Guiuan into a better and safer place.
Pero hindi kami nawawala ng pag-asa na someday may balay naman na mas maupay pa naman bayaan niya balay.
As it is now, there are limitations in terms of local government capacity to address it on their own. There's still a need for humanitarian actors or for development agencies to provide that kind of support to local governments like Guiuan.
With the help of the international organizations and the national government and all of you guys, I mean, perhaps we can move forward. We can bring Guiuan to what we want it to be.
Ang gusto ko pong mangyari na sana tulungan kami ng government na makabangon ang Guiuan, na sana sa susunod ng panahon na maabutan pa ng mga anak namin na kung ano ang Guiuan noon, mas higit pa ang makita nila sa darating na panahon.